Hey there, it's Angel with Caught It Outdoors, and in this next fly tying tutorial I'm going to tie for you a blue-winged olive emerger, which I recently had some success with fishing. Now, I fished this as a dropper, the second fly in a team of flies. The first fly being more of an attractor pattern, and this fly is obviously not weighted except for the hook, the weight of the hook. The first fly was a weighted fly, this thing 8 to 10 inches following, and so the interesting thing is that it was, whether I was fishing this pattern or another, it was a dropper that the fish kept taking. I did catch fish on the attractor fly, and but this is a trailing fly is the one that was being hit. Now the reason for my tying this fly was because I was on my way out the door to go fish a place I never fished, and so I began to look into the internet on these web guides, these guide sites, and reading into what these fish were biting in this particular area. And I kept hearing blue-winged olive, blue-winged olive, blue-winged olives. And I know they were talking about dry fly. And so if you are familiar with anything or much about Arizona, we don't get very much rising around here, as far as we don't get too much dry fly action. And so I went ahead, and although I have plenty of blue-winged olives, dry flies that I have in my box, and I was taking them with me, I wanted to tie an emerger. And so I came up with this design here. I just off the top of my head, knowing more or less what emergers look like from seeing other fly tying tutorials. And but it was after that I looked into this pattern that I found that many people tie this same exact pattern in this same way. Not that I had seen that before, but it was just interesting that I guess like minds, you know. And so this is the fly as I fished it, tailless. And so we got in some Coq de Leon in a medium Pardo, and so I'm going to add a tail in this video. So we are going to put in our vise a number 16 Allen fly fishing hook in a size 16, and this is a model N304. This is a wicked looking beaked hook, and so we have a 2x short, 3x wide gap curved shank, and so this is a wonderful hook. I really like it. And so let's get to tying this. I'm going to go ahead and just start here. And I'm going to add some tailing fibers. Now I have a feather here of a Coq de Leon, and so I'm going to go ahead and take a few fibers, not too many, take them off, and just add a slight tail. I fished it fished fine without a tail, but hold on, let me grab a few more fibers. But you know, it couldn't hurt much to add a tail to this pattern. Now this is going to add some sheen to a fly that otherwise doesn't have much as far as shine or flash to it. And so I'm going to work that down. We're going to go ahead and trim off the excess. Let me shorten that a bit, just a bit, cut off our excess, and we're going to tie in our biot. This is there's three, other than the tail, the Coq de Leon, we're adding a turkey biot in olive, and this is going to be the gist of our body. Very small tail, you can hardly even see it, but that does have some sheen to it, and I'm sure that'll add to the attraction of the fly. And so we're going to go ahead and wrap up and begin to build a slight taper. up to 3/4 of the fly. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw a half hitch, and I use a tool. Swing our bobbin rest around here. Take our hackle pliers. We got to be careful with this material. I have been soaking it. I do soak it so that it doesn't break on me, because it might be brittle. But we're going to start winding this, and the winds are going to create the illusion because of the shape of this biot. It gives a very beautiful segmentation. And so we're going to tie that off. Take our scissors, trim off the excess. And now, we're using a medium olive dubbing, very light sparse, of a Nymph life cycle dubbing. And so let me take my thread back to the point where I want to start this, right there. And so I'm going to create here a thorax. And now the next material in this fly is a light dun CDC. I'm using a Spirit River Ultra Select CDC, and so here's a feather. And the way I'm doing this is I'm just drawing the feather up, taking hold of the tip, putting some wraps, pulling that back, tying that up to the dubbing ball, folding it over to create a wing case. Cut off our excess here, and we still have enough for another 1 to 2 more flies. And now we're going to go ahead and just build a head. Or you can use dubbing, but it's a size 16. I'm just going to go ahead and just build a thread head there. Whip finish. And we're pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and add some head cement to that. One thing I didn't mention or didn't do is that on the biot body is go ahead, before you wrap that biot body, lay down a bead of super glue or head cement, something, because the reality is that this fly is not going to last. Without it, it's not going to last but 4 to 6 fish. If you're fishing it with trout, let me clear that eye. And that's it. A blue-winged olive emerger pattern, and it did well. I'll annotate the video in which I used it in, and in that video there's a section of it where my camera shut off unknowingly to me, and there was about 6 to 8 fish that were caught solely on this pattern right here as a dropper, and it's weightless. It was following a tungsten weighted attractor pattern, and so I don't understand all the dynamics of everything that was going on there, but this fly did good for me, and hopefully it will for you. Tie them up and have them in your box ready to fish. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, feel free to give suggestions, and by all means subscribe for following videos. Thank you.